Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Keela Villa, and I am a librarian for Rooney Library. I'm going to be walking us through today's topic of citation management. So thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to have a pretty big group of about 20 people. So if you haven't already, go ahead and mute yourself so that we don't have any background interference or noise. So we're going to go ahead and jump in so that we can use our time wisely. Looking at our agenda first, we're going to get started with just the basics of APA and MLA. Then we're going to look at the benefits of citation management. Next, we're going to look at library approved tools. I've got some really good ones for you today. Next, what about the elephant in the room, ChatGPT? We're going to talk about that in terms of citation management. Then we're going to introduce the next webinar, and you have a chance to sign up today, and we'll have a time for Q&A at the end. All right, so let's jump right in. So first things that you need to know is that we use APA style and MLA style here at SMWC. APA is going to generally be used for the sciences classes, while MLA is generally going to be used for humanities. Now, it's good to know that some classes will allow you to use either one. So check with your professor at the beginning of class before you begin a certain assignment, whatever it may be, just to ensure that you are using the correct citation style. It wouldn't be good if you did a whole assignment in the opposite citation style as what you are supposed to do for your class. So just keep those things in mind. So let's talk about the benefits of citation management. You're probably here because you need to be better at citation management, or someone recommended this to you, or maybe you're here because your professor has asked you to be here. Regardless, you're going to receive some benefits from being in this webinar. First benefit of citation management is that you are going to stay more organized. I'm going to show you a tool today called Zotero that is going to help you keep all of your articles. Just keep everything in one place, and you can organize it into folders. It's really cool. You'll also be able to save time because of the fact that you're organized and you have all these tools in one place saved. Of course, a super important one is that you're going to reduce citation errors. So none of us want to lose points because we have made a citation error, right? We want to do our very best on that. So you're going to get guides and templates that you can use when it comes to citations. And of course, none of us want to plagiarize. We don't want to end up in the dean's office in trouble for that. So by having these citation management tools, you're going to avoid accidental plagiarism. And of course, with all of these things, you are going to lower your stress surrounding citations. Okay, so in terms of library approved tools, let's first just talk about the obvious here are library books. So we have the APA style guide, which is over here. It's called the Publication Manual of the American Psychological Association. That is a print book in Rooney Library. And we also have a student edition, which is shorter, it's concise, it's really great for you to use, and that's available. And of course, we've also got our MLA handbook over here. Each of these are the current edition, and so you can visit Rooney Library and borrow those. Now, if you're a distance student, no problem, no fear, you can still borrow these. Just send our library director an email with your name and the book that you want to check out, and he will mail those to you. So if you're a person who's like, not really into the print books, I'd rather do something online, we've got you covered. So we have library style guides. And if you're not already familiar with these, you will be after our session. So this is just like a screenshot of what they look like. And there's two ways that you can get to them. The first is through this direct link through our LibGuides, or you can go directly to the library's website and click on Style Guides. So I'm going to show you that right now. All right, so if you aren't sure how to get to the library homepage in general, when you're on the SMWC website, go to Offices and Resources and then Rooney Library, and it would take you to that same place. Okay, once you're here, scroll down to Style Guides. And you'll see here our APA, MLA, and then our Zotero guide, which we'll look at a little bit later. But starting here, let's look at our APA guide. So both of these guides, the APA and MLA, have been created by the Writing Center, and they are amazing. Shout out to them. They created the formatting and the content for this guide. And so we've also got their contact information if you want to reach out with more questions. And you'll see the publication APA guide right here. But one thing that I really want to point out today is this helpful resource right on the homepage. And this is a guide that is a little bit more in depth than the library guide. What this is going to be is downloadable Word document that's going to walk you through how do I do everything APA in a student-friendly format. So you'll see we've got just general formatting. How do I make a title page? There's even examples here of what that should look like. How do I write an abstract? If you have to do that for APA, how do I do headings, in-text citation, references? You're going to see a lot of those templates here. Now, one thing that I want to point out, if you scroll and keep scrolling, okay, here we go. My favorite part of this whole Word document is that they have created a table, and this table walks you through the templates for pretty much anything that you might need to cite. It's color coded, so if you're that kind of person, you love the color coding, this is going to help you a lot. So they have done everything from web pages to Wikipedia articles, different types of books, course journal articles. You'll be doing a lot of those. I love that they even do things like episode from a TV series, songs, TED Talk, just about anything that you can imagine or need to cite. They have created the templates for you here. So I highly encourage you, go to those style guides, download this, save it somewhere so that you can just have that at your fingertips at any moment. And whenever there are changes to the style guide, this is updated as well. Now, as far as the online guide, it's a little bit simpler than that Word document. If you just need something quick and easy, it's going to walk you through some of those things that were in that Word guide as well, such as in-text citations, references, that kind of thing. And it will have our library director's contact information if you have questions about the guide, citations, any of those things in general. One thing I do want to point out is just the vocabulary for citations. There's all kinds of words that we use for citations, but in-text citations, sometimes they're also called parenthetical citations, and these are the ones that go in the body of your essay or in the body of your text. And so like you'll see here, that's often going to be the author's last name. It might include the year, the page number, depending on which style guide you're using. But this goes in the text itself versus your references, sometimes called works cited or bibliography. That's going to be what's at the very end of your paper. And so you want to make sure that if you include something in your in-text citations, it's also included in your bibliography or your references, and vice versa. If it's in your references, then it needs to be included in your in-text citations. So just make sure that you keep that in mind as you are working through these things. Okay, so let's quickly look at the MLA guide. If I understand correctly, MLA at SMWC is mainly just used for the English classes, but this will be really important for those. MLA handbook, again, the link to that if you want to check it out. And they also have this Word document guide. So let's take a look at that. And same thing as before, it's going to walk you through all these guidelines. How do I use sources? What is it going to look like whenever I make these quotes and paraphrase, whenever I use the in-text citations versus use the references? And they also have done things like, if I can get there, not quite the same as the table in the other one, but how do I cite things like the book in addition to a book, article, things like that, website. So these are just super, super handy to keep on, right on hand. And as we go through this, very similar to that Word document and the APA style guide, it's going to just walk us through, how do I format everything? What are the elements of a citation? This one is really key. If you're doing MLA, check this out, because there sometimes can be a lot of confusion between, do I put a comma after this or do I put a period? And so this page is really going to help you pinpoint exactly which type of punctuation to use. And same thing here, how do I do my in-text versus how do I do my works cited? So this is super helpful. If you haven't already accessed these, I encourage you to do so. Now, coming back to our library approved sources and things, we have our LRC and Writing Center. So you can book an appointment through them for APA formatting assistance. And I have the link right there. Or you can just go to the SMWC website and you can look for the LRC and it has the link directly there. Or you can also email them. I've got their email address right there. They are super happy to help. They are very knowledgeable and they're ready to help you with your citation and especially your writing. But they're a great resource. Don't forget about them. Go give them some support and some love. Now we're going to spend a good chunk of our time today on this amazing tool, which is called Zotero. So if you've used Zotero before, this might be a little bit of a review, or you might see some new features. But if you haven't used this before, this tool might change your college life. This might really help you a lot. So I encourage you to take some notes, take some screenshots, whatever you need to do. But Zotero is a free citation tool to help you collect, organize, cite, and share your sources. And we have a Zotero guide. You probably saw it back on my old screen with the style guides. It's linked there under APA and MLA. But let me just go to this direct link right here. And just a note, Zotero edition number 8 was just released within the last week. So it was Zotero 7, and there have been a lot of updates. I'm not quite sure all the updates yet, but there are a lot of new features. So if you already have Zotero, make sure you do the update. If this is new to you, then great, you're starting off on the right foot. So Zotero, there are quite a few steps to get started and use this effectively. But like I said before, this will really make a huge difference in your citation management. Actually, most of the time when people talk about citation management, they're talking about tools like this one, like Zotero. So just going to briefly go through these first 2 steps. But before you use Zotero, you will need to make an account. And this guide is going to have all the links for that. But make an account, and then you'll need to install the proper apps to be able to use this. So Zotero is a desktop app. And so what you'll need to do is you'll need to go to zotero.org and download that. So you can use it for Windows, you can use it on Mac. I believe there might be some other operating systems on Linux. You can use it on any of those. And you'll also need to install the connector. So what the connector does is it takes the articles that you find online and it connects it into your Zotero app. It just poofs it right over there, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. And I did see a question pop up in the chat, so thank you. Feel free, everybody, you can type questions in the chat, and then when I get to the Q&A at the end, I'll go through all of those and any additional questions. So you might be wondering, do I need the desktop app? It's preferred to get the desktop app. Now, you don't necessarily need it for everything, but to have full functionality, you will need that app. And so let me show you what that app looks like. So this is my Zotero library. Let me just clear it out here. So I have 53 items in here right now. And so you'll see these are all just names of resources that I have saved. If I click on a resource, I see information here on this right side about the resource. Even things like the abstract or a PDF of that item can be embedded right into Zotero. I can create notes, I can put things into collections, and even have tags. So you'll see over here, I have a bunch of different folders. So what I've done is over the years of using this, I have created different folders based on the different types of subjects that I was researching at the time. Now, you might be able to format this differently. So for example, you may want to create folders based on the different classes that you're in or the different projects that you're completing. Or maybe you want a folder that's these are the classes, where I'm using APA versus MLA. Or maybe it's one for your major, one for your other major, one for your minor. However you want to organize that, it's up to you. That's just one of the great parts of citation management within Zotero. You can make this organization work for you. Another thing is you can have a group library. So if you're doing a group project over here in Zotero, on the online site, you can create a group. And so you can invite others, maybe your classmates who are working on the project with you, to join that group. And whenever you add different articles or books or whatever, it will go into that group and help you all stay organized. So let me go ahead and show you the web library while we're here. Just in case you do have issues with getting that desktop application, here is what that web library looks like. Very similar to the app, but again, not as much functionality. So over here, again, let me just look at some of these. Just again, showing you what we've got. Abstract, we've got our attachment again. So lots of cool stuff. Now you can even create notes. So what I did is I just created a note that talks about the different subjects that are in that source, but you could create notes for whatever. Maybe it's the search that you use to find that source. Maybe it's where you located the source. Maybe it's a note about here's how I want to use this in my paper, or the potential quotes that you want to use from the paper. You can use this however you want to best serve you. And you can create edits within the source. So let's say, for example, something in here isn't right. Maybe I need to change the place to Terre Haute, Indiana. I can do that. I can also remove information that is incorrect or irrelevant. And of course, I can make edits here as well. So let's take a look at how to actually save the citations into here. So there are several different ways that you can do this. And each of them are going to have varying degrees of, I guess, correctness, which you'll see what I mean here in a moment. So the first way to do this is through the Zotero connector. So the Zotero connector, what this does, like I said before, it connects from the internet into your app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the library and I'm going to search up this book, The Faithful Librarian, that I really want to read. And one thing that I want to point out is if you don't have the Zotero app open, this connector is not going to work. You will see an error. So whenever you're using the connector, make sure that you open up that desktop app so that everything will just move over smoothly. So you're going to see up here, this is my connector. You'll see it says Save to Zotero. So from this search results page, I can actually click this, and anything that comes up in the search results, I can move over to Zotero. But let me show you. Now that I've clicked into it, it's changed. It realizes that this is a book. So whenever I click on the book, you'll see this is saving to my Zotero library. When I go to Zotero, here it is, the information that it got from the library. Now, because this is a book, you'll see there's not an attachment, just because we can't legally have the whole book downloaded into Zotero. But it created some tags for me. If I want, I can move it into some of my folders like library and Christianity. So another way that you can input things into Zotero, let's say you just have the ISBN. And to make this work, I need to delete this really quick. So you can come up here and you can add an ISBN. And you'll see here it's populated, but it is missing some of the information that we had compared to the library site. So some of the tags will be different. There will be different notes. So you'll see already the connector often has just better resources and better luck with bringing everything in. Now let's take a look at an article. just so we can see how that looks, because that would actually be a PDF. So I'm just going to use this one right here. I'm going to come in here, and you're going to see that this will change here in a moment once it reads that it's an article. Well, I guess not. Still looks like a book, but that's okay. So it's going to save right now to my library. And here we go. It's been pulled over here, and I can even see that it's a PDF that has attached. So this is really cool. Try that out. Now you can also just directly add files. Like if you just have the PDF, if you don't have it in the library, but you just have it saved somewhere randomly, you can do that and add it here. You can also add things manually, like if you don't have anything, but you just want to add a citation in here for a book, article, whatever it is, you can do that. All right, so trying to make sure we don't run out of time here. Let me show you how you utilize this when you're writing. So unfortunately, this step only works on Google Docs and Microsoft desktop apps. It doesn't work on Microsoft Word Online as of right now, but hopefully in the future it will. And for this, you do need to have that desktop app open. So I just have this random paragraph about Zotero. And so what I want to do is I just want to add a citation here. So I'm going to come up here to Zotero. Whenever you first get it, you can use the preferences here to choose APA or MLA style. But let's say I want to add a citation. It's normally going to ask you to sign in every single time to that Zotero account. So we're going to give it a minute. And then you're going to see it's going to suggest a citation, or I could just look up something myself. When I click enter, it's going to put that in here. So if you are using like a particular quote or something, it's not going to know which page number you're using, obviously, so you'll want to add that, like for example, page 4 or whatever it might be. You'll have to change the font and things like that, but those are pretty simple. Now, here's what's really cool as well. Once you're ready to add your bibliography, Zotero is going to read every single in-text citation and build that bibliography for you right at the end. So if you aren't already impressed, hopefully you are now, because this is a super helpful tool to keep you organized and will prevent those citation errors. Now, I do want to point out software is not always correct, right? Stay the human in the loop and do your best to double check everything on Zotero, double check those citations with those style guide templates that we have. Okay, now if you do look at the guide, we have FAQs, video guides, all kinds of things in here, help links, just to walk you through how to use this. Okay, last couple of things to talk about. The elephant in the room. What about ChatGPT? I asked ChatGPT, can you point out citation mistakes for students? And it was honest with me. It said, yes, I can point out citation mistakes. I can flag obvious errors. I can explain citation rules, and I can help you understand why something is wrong. Okay, nice. However, it cannot guarantee that a citation is fully accurate for your specific source, or that it matches your professor's preferred version of APA MLA, or that it follows the most current style updates. So that's something to keep in mind. ChatGPT and other AI models, they're a tool, but they still have limits. And so that's why we have these guides. We have Zotero. We have these templates available for you to double check against each other. And actually, with that in mind, let's talk about hallucinated citations. So ChatGPT can generate ghost or hallucinated citations for items that don't exist. So library resources are real. They aren't going to compromise your academic integrity. Don't go to ChatGPT and say, I need 5 resources for this topic. One of them might be fake or more. We've seen that actually with professors coming and asking us or students, is this a real source? This doesn't seem like it. Got it from ChatGPT. So, and oftentimes it's not. So just keep that in mind and ask a librarian for help finding library sources. So we actually have a webinar coming up next month designed for students about topics like this. It's called Research Smarter, Using AI Responsibly in Academic Research. It's going to be on Wednesday, February 25th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can register via the QR code or this link here. Probably in a week or so, we'll get this information sent out in an email like we did with this one. And you will be able to, hop right in and take a look at all that. So this is my contact information. Again, my name is Keila Villa. I've got my email here, and I am a remote librarian. I'm actually located in Phoenix, Arizona. And so you won't find me in Rooney Library. If you go visit, you will find our director. But if you have questions about arts and social sciences, or you've got questions about what we talked about today, Zotero, whatever it is, feel free to reach out. And after this webinar is done, probably in about an hour, you're going to receive a follow-up email about the webinar. You can give me any feedback. You can also give suggestions for future webinar topics. And so we'll use that to do some planning in the future. So I just want to open up some time for Q&A. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask. And while you're thinking of that, let me take a look at this question that was asked earlier. So Tiffany asked, if writing a paper as a student for publication, do you write in student style or professional style? So that's a good question. When it comes to writing for publication, it's always going to be best to write in a professional style. With anything that's being published, it's going to remain there forever. And it's also good to look at the other publications in that journal, for example, or that site, wherever it is that other things have been published. Take a look at the writing style and use that to guide you with examples and how should my voice sound, and how long should this be, or whatever. If you're publishing for a journal, it will often tell you which citation style to use, APA, MLA, Chicago, things like that. Professor Williams said, yes, you probably need to make sure you know what the professor's preference is. That is true. Like I mentioned at the very beginning slide, make sure that you check with your professor before you start doing any writing. Look at the syllabus, make sure that you know exactly what they're asking for so that you don't do the opposite citation style. That would not be good to have to redo that right at the very end. All right, any other questions for today? All right. Well, thank you everyone so much for coming. Have a blessed day, everybody, and best of luck on your future citations.